Kiran, I was talking to my children recently. When we sit down around meals and when all of us are together, the kids will always ask me about your times. In your times, did you have electricity? Did you have telephones? As though I was 1 centuries ago.
We're prehistoric to them
Yeah.
anyway.
Right? So I told them I don't come from the medieval era. And then when I start talking to them about how India was in the 80s and 90s, they cannot believe it, because what they take for granted today didn't pretty much even exist in our time. So, for example, I was telling them about telephone connections, right? So, not everybody's family possessed a phone. My dad was in the army. We moved from cantonment to cantonment. So, the India I knew was slightly different from the India most people knew, because it was very secluded. There was a uniformity to how people lived and dressed up. And women were uninhibited compared to the rest of India, because we didn't have to live under the male gaze the way women in civil did. But other than that, we were the Chitrahar generation. Right?
Absolutely.
So the phone thing, I was talking to them about the phone, and I was saying that sometimes when we moved town, we didn't have a phone connection, because in the army you have to apply, and by the time it comes in a new town, and then 2 years later you've gone again. They said, really? And then I told them how trunk calls used to be made.
After 10 o'clock.
Right? Somebody used to call, and an operator used to connect the call. And on the trunk call, used to speak very loudly because the sound wasn't clear. So my father, until his last years, when you called him from overseas, his tone used to
automatically go volumes higher.
It's true. Right? And my mom would also say, how is it going over there? And I'd say, Mama, this is not a trunk call. Okay, this is a mobile call.
The trunk call reminds me, and the phone reminds me, that we didn't have a telephone because we kept moving houses. My father was in the bank, and you kept transferred, and as you grew up the ladder, you get shifted to different quarters. Then mom got into the bank. So we applied for a phone, and first it was the 1,000 rupee phone, which was like some wait list of some 10 years or million years.
Right.
Then we said we can't wait that long and die without having a phone.
Right.
So then we applied for the 8,000 phone. Now at that time, 8,000 was a lot of money.
Yeah. What was it, like 80,000 today?
I don't know the rate of inflation, but
I think so.
Yeah, it was a lot of money.
Princely sum. Yeah.
8,000.
Yeah.
And we waited because the wait time was shorter. It was in 1 or 2 years you would get the phone.
Right.
So finally the letter that the phone had been allotted came. I was terrified to even go to the loo in case the doorbell rang and he came to install the phone, and I didn't open the door. I was waiting. And all my days, luckily it was a summer vacation at that point, I was in college, was spent hanging out looking for the linesman to come, then going down and say, Bhaiya, and it was always a Pandey. I don't know why.
Is that right? Okay.
It was always a Pandey. Like, इधर का आ गया letter कब भी होने वाला install.
Yeah,
installation.
It was such a high point, right?
And then I got the phone.
And did you have people to call or receive calls from?
I only kept getting horrible blank calls.
Oh.
No,
Not the
happy.
worst part was having an extension in your parents' room.
Okay.
Because my mother would answer the call. I know it for a fact. And be listening from the other end. Okay.
Oh.
And even if she didn't, if you were at an aunt's house, a cousin's house, your nanny's house, nanny was doing it, somebody or the other was always listening in. It was such a funny time, right? Like today when you talk about it, it does sound unbelievable that we lived through that, and it was par for the course. Everything was just the way it was.
Actually, in retrospect, I think I quite enjoyed this time because you could be out and you could be dead.
Yeah, and nobody could track you down.
Nobody could reach you.
And say, where were you? Achha, you could lie about it without some GPS tracking you down.
Absolutely.
Right? Without Family 360 tracking you down.
And you were under no obligation to return the call immediately if you missed it.
But the joy was that if you wanted to know which was the last number that called you, you had to do 121 or 129 and pick up the phone. I would tell you, your last call was received from so-and-so number.
And then you knew exactly who was talking you.
Yeah. It was, oh my God, what
it was always a kirana shop, but...
Is in your case nonsense. I mean, even television, right? Nowadays, sometimes when I say, okay, let me watch something on Netflix, Kiran, if I have an hour to spare, and unless if I'm already knee deep in some show, it's a different matter. But if I I have to still figure out what I want to watch. By the time I've shortlisted something, half an hour is up. But we were the Chitrahar generation. Wednesdays and Fridays was Chitrahar, and oh my God.
And Sundays was Mahabharat.
Mahabharat, but did you watch Chitrahar?
I watched Chitrahar. Of course, we all watched Chitrahar.
And did you get that sinking feeling by the third song because only 2 songs were
Well,
left?
Yes, the singing feeling, and then you hope that the songs that you liked would come on, and they wouldn't come on, and you'd be so mad. And do you remember
There was no order to it.
No.
They'd just play any 5 songs.
Do you remember Top of the Pops?
Yes, of course.
Late night watching.
That was also 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was this very exciting thing that happened. I don't know if you remember it or you were old enough. On Friday nights, late night, 11:15 adult film used to be shown.
My mother and my father used to watch it. I know that. Utsav was shown in that.
Yes.
Mandi was shown in that.
And I used to watch it because my poor
All
mother
Sham
was...
Benegal was shown in that.
And foreign films were also shown in that, which were a lot more daring than ours.
Oh, the ones with subtitles.
With subtitles.
That's right.
French films were
French
shown.
films, yes.
That
Yeah,
was the
I
high-
didn't watch any of those.
Yeah, that was my early education, sex education that happened.
Mine was Harold Robbins,
Oh, Lord.
which I wasn't allowed to touch, by the way, but they were lying in my parents' library.
Ah.
But they were very quickly donated then.
Oh, Lord.
Once
When
they
they
knew
found
I
out.
laid my hands on them. Yeah.
Luckily, I think both my parents were very unconcerned about my reading habits.
Exposure.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I think I read Jaws when I was 8 or 9. I read Irving Wallace at around the same time.
Really?
Yes. And I went to a bookstore and I picked up Fear of Flying when I was in the 9th or maybe 13 years old. Very early starter.
Irving Wallace especially.
Yeah, which is why it explains I never really took Mills and Bones and romances.
Yeah, actually, nor did I. In fact, it's interesting. Now our children's summer holidays, those days, the afternoons and evenings used to stretch and stretch and
Never
stretch.
end.
Summer vacation was never ending because it usually meant a short trip somewhere. Like a week-long trip was, considered a proper holiday. And then after that, we would visit relatives or they would visit us. Because being in the army, we didn't see our family for over a year. And that was my first exposure to the civil life beyond the cantonment, because everything else was contained within, the Navy Nagar kind of areas. And I used to find the way they lived and the kind of lack of discipline that was in their lives compared to my military upbringing so startling. Like they could sleep at any time. My mother enforced a very strict martial law in our house.
Really?
Like bedtime by 9. And,
Oh, Lord.
even in the
I
summer
feel for
break.
you.
But my summer vacation was so enriching because I spent the better part of my holiday either swimming or skating or in the library.
That's interesting.
How much we read, and all these worlds came alive. And I think I traveled more through the books then than our children travel now, because now that curiosity about the world isn't there. It's just one more thing that to tick off.
Because they've traveled already so far, so much.
And also they see so much online.
Yeah.
You don't really need to travel to countries to understand what Italy looks and feels like. I'm saying even for those who haven't traveled and those who have, all shows now, when Emily in Paris, for someone who's never been to Paris, when you go there, there's no novelty there. In our case, we had read and then Paris came alive. So I think there was so much excitement and joy and discovery and pleasure. And also delayed gratification had its own perks.
Absolutely. Also, not being supervised to the core. I think we just ran around like a pack of wild dogs through the day. The only rule my mother had was come back in time 1 o'clock for food and when the lights were on. And if I didn't reach home when lights were on, there was hell to pay.
Yeah.
But through the day, we were like a pack of dogs during the summer vacation.
Yeah.
Climbing trees, doing this, jumping
Correct.
from terraces, doing what we want. And the library, the local library.
Right.
Until the point that I changed 3 local libraries in one summer vacation, and they finally told me that we don't have any books for you now. Please, maaf karo.
Find a new address.
Find a new address. And then they would very gingerly, do you think you can read this book? Have you asked your parents for permission? And I'm like, "Your parents are okay."
Yeah.
So that not being supervised, the way
Right.
we have supervised our
Paranoid
kids.
parenting now.
Yeah.
My mother was paranoid, but I think like we could cycle about on the cantonment roads because there was no traffic and there was safety and there were no molesters. But even then, I remember that if I was out for 3-4 hours, or maybe 2-3 hours, my mother would do one chakkar in the car. And she'd think that it would go unnoticed by me. Imagine there's an empty road, there's me on a bike, possibly with another girlfriend, and there's one white Fiat that's passed me by. Okay. With the same number plate as my mother. Like, what are the chances?
How sweet.
Okay, so I was very closely monitored. My mother was hyper protective. But the other thing is when the VCR time came. Okay, so
do you remember making mixtapes?
Mixtapes came much later. Mixtape was before VCR or after VCR?
Before, I think. I'm not too sure. Around the same time, let's just put it.
Oh my God, that was also so much fun. It was fantastic. And lovers gifted each other mixtapes. Although, in my life, lovers only existed in novels.
I never received a mixtape in my life.
Because all the boys that we knew, family, friends, kids, I had to call them bhaiya. Okay. And also they were fairly decent kids. And by decent, I mean that they also felt monitored, and my mother's sharp eye on them. So I guess they never approached anybody. But the other thing was, so when this VCR thing started, you had to rent a VCR in the early days.
In the early days.
And then the day you rented the VCR, you had to do 2-3 movies back to back.
And then your house was like a mini auditorium because the entire neighborhood trooped in.
That's right. And I watched a lot of Rishi Kapoor movies like that.
So I was a horror buff.
And Anil Kapoor movies.
Oh Lord. Wow.
I
Why
remember
Anil
watching
Kapoor?
these couples jumping. I don't know, Wo Saat Din.
Oh,
It was one of the funniest movies ever, Kiran.
Really?
Yes. I don't know if I watched that on my own VCR or rental days, but Tofa and all those kind of movies. Trimurti time we already had. All these kind of jhatka matka movies where they go around jumping around the garden. Jitendra in his white shoes, all of that.
You rented a VCR to watch that?
You know what? I don't know. I think Sri Devi movies I definitely watched on rented VCR early days.
Okay.
And then, my mom traveled abroad and got us a VCR, which was such a big thing. Oh my God. It was such a highlight of my entire childhood to own a VCR before my friends did.
Wow. Yeah, I rented a VCR, and what would happen was, because my mom was in office all day, all sorts of illegal things would happen.
Like, what did you watch? What could you get?
So my college friends and I would rent the VCR, and we would get the bad movies.
What bad movies could you get at the time?
There was nothing in retrospect compared to what is available now.
But name.
I don't remember the names. Maybe some Emmanuel or something.
It's like Lady Chatterley's Lover is a bad
that
book.
Kind of thing. And we would wait to see exciting things happen, and it would come and go so fast, and we would be like, okay, now that's it. And then there would be fistfights breaking out. Sorry. There would be fistfights breaking out because I wanted to watch horror and they wanted to watch the porny stuff. We have only so much time, and how can you watch horror and waste time watching horror? And I would be like, Evil Dead. I want to see Evil Dead.
I wasn't allowed to watch horror. So at my friend's house, when they rented a VCR or they had one, I've forgotten now between ownership or rental time, but Nightmare on Elm Street, Poltergeist, Exorcist. Oh my God. All these movies I watched on video and early video days. Yes.
And I didn't sleep for months after Exorcist because I realized it was a true story. And my mother's, what is wrong with you?
It was a true story?
Yeah, it was true. Based on a true story.
Really?
Really. There's a documentary on it. When I saw the documentary, I didn't sleep again for many months.
I thought that Emily Rose was a...
Emily Rose is all...
That's
the
also
Exorcism of Emily Rose. Yeah, that's also a true story.
That's also true, right?
Yeah, interesting.
And also that house, what is it? The Amityville Horror.
Yeah, the Amityville Horror. That's also a true story. I've done a PhD on these things.
Yeah, that's why you write horror so well. No, I don't want to watch horror. I have no interest in it.
So anyway, the VCR was there for a day, and fistfights were breaking out because my friends wanted to watch little pony stuff and I wanted to watch the horror stuff. And then a happy compromise would be arrived when we would watch all these stupid things like Grease.
Yeah, Grease. That is the first... Okay, when we finally owned a VCR, the first legitimate movie my mother made me watch was Grease.
Can you imagine? Saturday Night Fever and Grease. And John Travolta. I cannot imagine now.
Yeah, so John Travolta was gay. And Olivia Newton-John. And how much I tried to do that, copy that dance. You're the one that I want, the one that I want.
And I think I started wearing all black after Olivia Newton-John, thinking that, okay.
T-Birds and the pink ladies and T-Birds.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, we are carbon dating ourselves. But I think these are timeless movies. They were our parents' movies.
But can you imagine now if you look at Greece and you see those people pretending to be high school kids? They're like ancient, all of them.
Oh, our Greece. Or is there a new Greece?
Our Greece.
Of course.
They are absolutely ancient.
But isn't what Rajesh Khanna was some college boy and Amir Khan has been a college boy until like last month.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, I remember this chappie coming in with the full
what Dil Chahta Hai, how old was Amir Khan in Dil Chahta Hai and how old was he playing?
heaven knows, but
Yeah.
he has a baby face to get away with it. There was another very old character actor who
Baby
came
body
in.
also.
Somebody came and said, "Mom, my first class first aaya woman." I'm like, you're ready to die now. You should have been first class for centuries ago. I forget who the actor was.
Really? But listen, Kiran, I used to really enjoy the advertising of our era.
Washing
I
powder,
enjoyed-
Ninma.
Hamdard Ka Tonic Sinkara. Do you remember that?
Hamdard Ka
Javed Jafri was there in it.
And that other one, अब मैं बिल्कुल बूढ़ा हूँ,
Goli kha ke jeeta hu. Roshni
Tikat
deta Bajaj.
Bajaj.
You know, at night, I like to read, and even my Kindle light bothers my husband. So at night, from the very earliest of our marriage, before Kindle, when phones were around, I would text or whatever, Google search, I'd be with my head inside the blanket, and he would sing this jingle. Roshni
Tikat
deta Bajaj.
Bajaj.
Yeah.
But can you imagine we still remember it after all these decades?
I know. And there were all these luggage ads, I remember. Travel Light.
Okay, now I don't remember Travel Light.
And models was such a big deal. But see, the women models at the time were only homemaker roles,
Mm-hmm.
right? In all the ads, they were worried about giving Maggie to their kids, or they were worried about surf ki safai nahi jagmagaye, or Nirma. It was all about, the oil they're using for their family, bachcho ki sehat and husband ki sehat, right?
Not much has changed though.
No, now women are still, I'll tell you what has changed. Now it's all about, I apply this, I wear this, I put the shampoo, my hair's become better, I've become slimmer, my skin has become fairer, my lips have become. I'm saying now, in those days, women were all about family. Now women are all about objectivizing themselves.
Which is not a bad thing, I think, because the fact is that women were expected and being conditioned by social media, by media, by ads, vagera,
Yeah.
that all your attention and all your focus has to be purely on the other, on
Right.
the family.
Right.
You are not worthy
Sure.
of giving yourself attention. But now it is that you are worthy and you have to, but it's being taken to an extreme, I
No,
agree.
not just that, Kiran. First, the message was that you're only a homemaker, a mother, a provider, a daughter. Not a provider. A mother, a homemaker, a nurturer,
And Annapurna.
and a daughter, right?
Yeah, totally.
And the person who does the laundry at home.
Yeah.
Now that has changed from that to just complete exteriority. Okay, there's no nuance there. It's completely entirely about my jewelry and my lipstick,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Point.
And so I'm just saying that we are still not completely unfettered. Now we're catering to this perception of beauty and ideal body, fitness. Everything is fitness, right? But who has defined that this is an ideal body type?
Oh man, that's a long debate anyway. But having said that, I think
Hyper fitness. Now we've moved to hyper beauty and hyper fitness. So I have a beef with that also.
hyper youthfulness. Look at all the
Anti-age, everything is anti-age.
25-year-olds talking about Botox that they have done. I want to give them a tight slap.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to start with Botox now, by the time you reach 50, you'll have no face
And
left
when they
to
teach you how
inject.
to use a concealer on your dark circles, which are non-existent on them. You know, Kiran, my mom used to use oil of Olay
Mhm.
and Nivea cream, and there was Pond's. Today, in India itself, to say nothing of when you go outside of India, you go to Tira Beauty or you go to Nykaa, it is exploding with skincare products. You don't even know what to pick and choose. And if you go to Sephora outside of India, oh my
No,
God.
it's crazy. It's,
Okay.
It's insane.
And every other day, new lines are being added by new brands. And you would think that the market would be saturated, but it's insatiable because now we are all constantly slapping on makeup and constantly trying to become prettier and more beautiful. And,
Mm.
all those contouring videos that tell you that can completely transform a woman's face to being somebody unrecognizable.
Yeah, it is paint by numbers most times.
Yeah.
Totally.
There's a very funny Instagram handle. I will share it with you. This is a woman. She first shows a contouring video. Okay.
Then she does it.
And then she does it herself. She's got Bunny nose. She looks like a raccoon, and then she makes that face.
She's adorable.
She's very cute. Okay?
Very
I don't.
adorable.
Is she Indian or Malaysian? I can't tell.
I can't
She looks
make
Malaysian
out.
to me. But I'm just saying that now everything is really the Kardashian effect.
It is the age of social media. We are looking good. We are crazy about looking good because I think we have not really looked at ourselves so much. Ever since the pandemic, we've been compelled to look at
Okay,
ourselves.
but this started even before the pandemic. This kind of obsession with your looks.
You think so? I
Yes.
think it's accelerated after that.
Perhaps, but it started because I live with daughters, I can tell you,
Okay.
and I'm exposed to
I-
girls, you
Yeah,
know,
I
so
have a
their
guy
friends or
who's-
whatever.
yeah, if he combs his hair once,
So-
so we become happy.
Listen, I'm seeing how he's combing his hair. He's got big hair now. James Dean hair,
Yeah,
right?
he's growing it out.
Yeah, so it's just, it's all about looks now.
It's terrible.
It is.
I mean, in fact, the other day I tweeted or Instagram, put it on my story. Shampoo bars. We had Shikakai soap and Medimix and Chandrika, and we used it on our hair, and we never called it shampoo bars.
Wasn't Chandrika face soap?
I mean, I used it sarvajanically.
Really?
Like, you got one thing, you
You have
just
good
use-
hair. It's worked.
I don't know about that. But, you just come up with new names for stuff that was already there.
Yeah.
And you spoke about Nivea and Pond's and Oil of Olay. And there was Afghan Snow.
Oh, that's right.
Afghan Snow and something
And
called
Vico.
Turmeric.
No, Vico, not Vico. That Imami.
Imami and Vico Turmeric.
Yeah.
I slathered on so much Vico Turmeric, nothing happened. I think my mom began using Santoor Sabun, nothing happened. Like, she still looked like my mom. I mean, and Crowning Glory, which came out. Shampoo
yeah.
bars talking.
And also Lux soap, by the way. All relatives who visited India brought us the imported Lux. And Dove soaps used to come as gifts for Indians because they really lathered much better than the near stone bars we were having a bath with.
I mean,
in
you could
India.
scrub your vessels and wash your body with the same soap. It didn't make any difference.
Yeah, but Lux soap, the imported Lux bar, and there was another one, English Lather.
English Lavender.
No, it was called the English Lather.
And
company.
English Lavender also was the
Oh, English
talcum
Leather.
leather.
English
English
leather.
leather.
There was a company called English Leather.
Those square with the
Yeah.
red borders.
Yeah, those soaps were, scented soaps
Scented
was
notes.
such a thing then. And now even the Indian market is exploding with all these gels. And by the way, they are proper hormone disruptors. I now, with age, have developed an aversion to these fragrances, these strong fragrances. And I can tell you from Dove to Palmolive, it's all awful for the human body.
Yeah, I think I switched
Yeah.
to everything Cetaphil and all baby products now.
Yeah, I'll change my mind about these products if they come on as sponsors. Then come on board as sponsors.
Yeah, so
But
anybody
until
listening
then,
in,
yeah.
we are easily pliable.
Yeah, we are totally pliable. And Kiran, now look how Indians travel now, right? There was at that time there was so much government control and license Raj and everything that everything was a privilege, right? So even a goodies bag in which some Marks and Spencer gifts came, you held on to even the plastic bag. Because
The stuff that came in from relatives in Dubai,
yeah.
those duty-free bags were like precious possessions. They were taken out and taken around when you wanted to show off. Duty-free bags.
It was such a cute time. It was so cute. My kids will believe none of this. And the other thing is our shopping, at least in my case, when I was growing up and the friends I knew, it was only strictly need-based. So you were treated to chocolates or ice cream once in a week. And you were treated to new clothes when the occasion demanded.
Yeah, that was like
You didn't just
festivals.
buy new
Clothes.
clothes because there was a new collection or a new season. There was no
Yeah.
collection on season. I had no idea of fashion. And I think I brought it up in another podcast. There was a magazine called Soviet Today, I've told you. So I'm just saying that we had very limited clothes. And me with my platypus feet, I hardly had any shoes. And which is why today my greatest indulgence is shoes. Because I just can't get over the complex of, I have like shoe dysmorphia. I can never have enough shoes.
I
Okay.
think all of us, babe. But I hear you on the clothes. I think I got a new dress on my birthday, a new dress on 2 of the Eids, and one new dress on Christmas.
Yeah, that's what it
of-
used to be.
That's what it was.
And then in the summer holidays, my mother would get us some new clothes because we were, going to be
We were
traveling and then
visiting.
visiting relatives or they would visit us.
And you had to look decent.
Yeah. And then after that, those clothes, like the maid would be told that put them away in a separate rack where only going out clothes are kept. And my sister and I wore identical clothes.
Oh Lord.
All birthday parties, we were twins. She's 5 years younger than me.
Talking of birthday parties, do you remember our birthday parties? There was rasna, there were wafers, there was cake.
Yeah.
And if your mom was enterprising, she would make 1 or 2 dishes.
Noodles or something.
Yeah, 1 or 2 dishes. That
Chole
was it.
bhature.
You would just raise cane for around half an hour and go back to your homes.
I know our return presents used to be stationery. 1 pencil, 1 ruler.
Huh.
When I gave...
And 1 rubber, 1 eraser, we used to call them rubbers.
1 rubber. Yeah. Listen,
Or scented rubber.
Yeah. Speaking of rubber, my younger one just went to do 3-week summer course at Parsons in New York. And my older one was visiting us in New York, and she went to see her sister's dorm. And at the reception of the dorm was a big bowl, and there were candies in it. So Zara reached out for candies. Then she realized those candies are condoms. It was rubber. And she said, Mama, I can't believe, she said about
Very practical.
my younger
but-
one. She said, Mama, I can't believe she's become so big that she's in a course where they are giving. It was quite disturbing to her also. Forget me. She's 5 years older.
It's practical.
But it was speaking of rubber, yeah. So this and the other thing, the other peculiarity was, yeah, so you played, your mothers didn't make you play games. You played games passing the parcel or something on your own. Everything was a talent show. Everything was a talent show. You had to stand up. And if you couldn't come up with anything, you had to tell a joke.
Yeah. It was really excruciating.
And then
Because
when
you
they
had
were
talentless people.
and then I remember that before power cuts, okay? No, not before generators. And in army towns, there were no generators also. Inverters also came much later. So when we had power cuts, we had to ride them out, okay? And load shedding. They used to call it load shedding. And when the load shedding happened, if there was some power failure on school nights, we would rejoice because then our friends and all would come over and we'd all sit and dine around candlelight.
How nice.
Because mothers knew that children can't sleep in this heat. And that's what it made me feel like I was in a Jane Austen novel.
How lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Candlelight and friends chatting. And sometimes there used to be no power returning till the morning because of some major grid failure. Oh my God, there were such romantic nights.
Yeah. Another memories I have is the festival celebrations. I grew up in, state bank housing societies. It was a mishmash of all people from all over the world. The country, So you had Bengalis, you had South Indians, you had Marathis, Maharashtrians. But if there was a Ganpati, first you go around like little beggars to every house to collect money.
Oh, you get money on Ganpati?
No, to put up everything.
But I see. Yeah.
So the kids
for
would-
the community.
For the community. So you go around collecting the money, then you go around getting the decorations, doing the decorations. And
Now they have decorators. I doubt any housing society does this themselves.
no, I don't think so. Then you were like cash strapped and you did
Yeah.
your bit. And making the candles on Diwali, the kandils, the stars,
That's right. And
getting little bamboo sticks and the
Yeah.
thin paper. And
now you can buy them from the
now
signal.
you buy everything. Now
Yeah.
making that was a different joy altogether.
Yeah.
Although I was terrible and I always ruined it and I was want to stand 10 feet away and not come within touching distance of it. But that was great fun. I don't think kids have that joy anymore of making
Nothing.
anything.
That's what I'm saying. They keep saying your childhood sounds very boring and like we were really deprived.
Yeah.
But we weren't deprived at all. I think that our childhood was full of wonder and joy and fascination because there was so much excitement. You couldn't take anything for granted. As an adult, when I went to the first mall, I was so thrilled.
Absolutely. And when you talk about, not exposing kids to this and that, we grew up with Phantom cigarettes. We were smoking Phantom cigarettes all the time.
Yeah.
We didn't grow up to be smokers.
I know.
I just felt like cool.
I was so cool.
And how much sugar we had. How much sugar we loaded ourselves up with
Listen,
sugar.
now every day I read at least one story or one Instagram post about how sugar is more lethal than alcohol.
It's aging you, it's killing you.
Yeah, sugar has become such an enemy.
We marinated in sugar all day. Like literally.
I'll share this because I hope my mom will never listen to this podcast. So I used to get boils from eating sugar.
Oh Lord.
Sweet things. My mom used to really strictly then ration my sugar intake. At a certain stage, she was. And And if I was so desperate to eat something sweet, I'd just go to the kitchen and tell my cook to give me the chini ka dabba. It used to be lying on top. He'd bring it down and I'd have a scoop of sugar. I remember hearing about some kid's mom dying. Okay. So I started fantasizing that if my mom dies, what is the first thing I'll do? I felt momentary sadness and then I thought,
I'll eat
I
sugar.
eat sugar every day.
Evil child. Evil child. So
I was very small at the time, but this is distinctly there in my mind. And the other memory is we were allowed cold coffee. Coffee wasn't such an evil.
Yeah, we drank coffee.
We drank coffee.
We drank tea.
And we drank cold coffee. So I remember that thinking that now sugar is gone. Everything is beyond my reach. And at a certain stage, she even took the sugar beyond my reach. Okay. I think she must have told the cook. Pulled him up or whatever. Huh? And these were Fauji cooks, so they had to listen. They were not like today with long hair and sweat, you know. So there was decorum, right? And Mim saab ne bola hai to karna hi hai. So I one day said, "Mujhe coffee chahiye." So he said, coffee wasn't forbidden. So I thought that coffee is very sweet and it tastes very nice. So I reached for the coffee jar, and
you found
we must be getting wholesale coffee because I remember it was a jar, steel jar full of coffee, and then I took a whole scoop.
Ouch.
I must have been in the 4th grade. I wasn't that young. I remember this. Yeah.
Ouch. So my sugar addiction, the one instance that I remember is my poor mom. She was a working mom. She would go to the office and come back really late. And Diwali time was when, I don't know if I mentioned this, Diwali time was when everybody would give the Diwali sweets and she would be a little embarrassed. And she'd say, okay, Christmas, I'll make Christmas sweets and return to them. So she would, keep stocking up on the milkmaid, on the sugar and whatever in the fridge, that when it is time to make, I will make it. She would lock the fridge because the milkmaid jars were inside.
Yeah, they were the best thing on earth. Condensed milk.
I would open the darn fridge with a hairpin. And I knew where she had hidden the milkmaid, behind that in the vegetable compartment. And the day she said, okay, now I've got 2 days holiday, some Saturday, Sunday or something. I'm going to make sweets today. She took the jars were all empty. I didn't do it. And whole day I was drinking.
I used to get milkmaid in the army ration.
Condensed milk, like a juice. I was
make a little, drill a hole in it, and then just have it whenever you want it. Also, the tin must have, by the time I finished that whole tin, it must have got all, oxidized and become seriously toxic. Okay, but I used to go on
drinking condensed milk straight from the jar.
This all came from not having access to the kind of sweets and candies kids have today. And on our birthday, there was something called mango something candy, mango bite, or
mango bite maybe.
And then there was the eclairs, the all-time Kiss Me, eclairs, and there was something called Ravelgon.
Ravelgon, it's still there. It's come back.
Kids today give cupcakes.
Yeah,
so they progress to that.
Yeah, very fancy cupcakes.
Very fancy cupcakes, yeah.
Yeah. And heaven helped you.
It's probably $100 a cupcake, or those big ones, and some $60 for the small one. And our entire bag of sweets was probably $80.
I know.
And I used to get mine from the army canteen.
So even cheaper. cheaper. And talking about birthdays, the other funny thing was the birthday dress. I don't know if you ever had a say in your birthday dress. But I never did.
I would agonize over it, but I didn't have a say in it. And in all my birthdays, I look really detestable.
Horrible. I mean, with these ribbons.
Yeah.
And not those little pearls. And smocking down the front.
Yeah, smocking was so popular.
I looked like an evil child, with the specs and two oily plaits. Yeah. And that little baby girl dress in soft pink checks.
But if you went to Delhi of the time, Delhi of the 80s and even the 90s, if you drove around Delhi, you would see women taking evening walks in nighties with smocking. I'm not joking.
Oh Lord. Okay.
Walking around in nighties was somehow acceptable in India of the time. These were, I think, they were largely slightly middle class societies. But if you drove around it, you would see it.
Smocking came back a while ago with cheesecloth. Nice little peasant tops with smoking fronts and all. I never
and scarred by smoking.
I'm never touching them. I didn't take them. Somebody gifted me one top with that. I promptly re-gifted it. But
listen, I called for smoked frocks for both my kids when they were small.
You're repeating generational trauma.
The generational. No, I wanted to see them in that because there's a little innocence to it. The other day I was at an event where kids were being given, my younger ones, ballet class. They were getting their report card and medals. And by and large, girls were in frocks again. Little girls, they were, my girls' daughters much older, but 4-5-year-olds. And it was so nice to see the return of innocence. There was one girl who was in hipster jeans and a crop top as a 4-year-old.
Ouch.
And this kids dressing as teenagers is just not acceptable. It wasn't acceptable in our time. It's not elegant, it's tacky, but it is just something that...
It's a sign of the times. No, I just dislike those dresses with smocking and ribbons and lace and all that stuff.
Yeah, I have a weakness for them now.
Yeah, because my natural habitat was shorts and a t-shirt. So, to put me in that fancy dress for one day when, totally unfeminine.
No, I liked sometimes being feminine. Because otherwise, I used to live with a boy cut and all. I told you, my mom cut my hair. I said in the hair episode.
Yeah, my hair was short when my hair grew out.
I looked like I was transitioning, I've told you. Most of my childhood, I looked like I was transitioning. Which is why my worst nightmares are about people cutting my hair. So I had to wear some feminine clothes once in a way to not be spoken of as the other gender. Also, in our time, periods were something to be hidden. You could never openly say in your class, I am on my period.
No, what rubbish. We were boasting when we got... I was the earliest
To your
to get
teachers and all?
No, it was so
To
good.
your friends. But
No,
I'm saying,
teachers?
if
Miss,
could
I
you,
got...
in a class full of boys and girls, you were
Oh,
okay to
we
say?
didn't have boys. I was in a
Oh,
girls'
that's
school.
why. No.
Miss, I got my period. I can't do PT today. That was like the favorite thing. And suddenly
Yeah.
Miss would say, like, last week you had your
Yeah,
period.
how many times in a month
How
do you have
many
a
times
period?
are you...
Yeah.
Get out and go
I
run.
have a very long cycle. But now it is so normal for in a class of co-ed, which is fine. This is the kind of thing
Lovely.
we need to normalize. So I think in some ways we've improved, but in some ways I really very nostalgic about those times
I know.
that we grew up in.